The waves were gentle that morning, rolling in with a calm rhythm, but inside me everything felt loud, restless, and complicated. I had spent the past 3 years working under a woman whose presence could silence entire conference rooms, the kind of person who carried authority without raising her voice. Her name was Marisol Hale, the youngest department head in our company, a woman with striking confidence and a posture that made others straighten their backs in reflex. And that day, under the sunlight at the beach, I saw her in a way I had never seen her before, free of her blazer, heels, and tightly coiled calm. But instead of greeting her normally, instead of saying hello, something embarrassing happened. My eyes wandered, my mind froze, and the moment turned awkward fast. She looked at me, raised an eyebrow, and said, "Where are you looking?" "My eyes are up here." I felt the world turn still. The ocean quiet. My heart stopped mid-beat. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, growth, and unexpected second chances in life, please like, comment, share this video, and subscribe to the channel Power of Kindness. Your support means everything, and it helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. I'll never forget that day. It was a work-organized beach cleanup, one of those events the company arranged to look good in the public eye. But to most employees, it was a casual day, a break from the fast-paced deadlines and constant meetings. I had woken early, the sky still soft with dawn colors. I walked toward the shoreline wearing a plain white t-shirt and shorts, trying not to look too awkward, since I knew she would be there. She was always somewhere, always walking like she knew exactly where she was going, even when no one else did. My name is Rowan. I'm not special. Not wealthy. Not exceptionally brilliant. I'm just someone who tries, sometimes too hard. I had admired Marisol long before that day, not the kind of admiration fueled by fantasy or unrealistic dreams, but the honest kind, born from respect. I had joined the company struggling to find confidence in my voice. I often doubted everything I said or did. But she spoke with clarity, precision, and warmth that somehow didn't feel rehearsed. She would stand in front of a room and make everyone feel like their thoughts mattered. That's where my admiration began. Quiet. Gentle. Always held at a distance, but that morning shattered the distance. She stood on the sand wearing a sky blue sundress, her hair slightly messy from the breeze, sunglasses resting at the top of her head. She looked human, not the flawless, unshakable version of her I saw at the office. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. And that was when my eyes drifted down, not in a disrespectful way, but in that helpless, stunned way your brain stops being your friend. And she called me out. Loud enough that 2 interns nearby stopped talking. My face burned. I apologized quickly, stumbling over words, trying to explain myself, but what surprised me most was her laughter. Not mocking. Light. Easy. The kind that makes you feel forgiven before an apology even finishes leaving your mouth. She brushed the hair from her face and said it was all right, that everyone had awkward moments, but what happened next was unexpected. Instead of walking away to speak to the higher executives or the event coordinators like she usually would, she stayed near me. She watched the ocean with me. And for the first time, we spoke like two ordinary people. We talked about simple things first: the water temperature, the early sunlight, the sound of waves being better than city traffic. Then slowly, without meaning to, our conversation deepened. I told her how I often felt like I wasn't good enough at work, how I felt like everyone else carried themselves with certainty except me. She listened, really listened, the same way she did in meetings, but this time I felt something softer in her attention, something personal. She told me that when she first joined the company, she was terrified. That she learned how to look confident before she ever felt confident. That sometimes leadership is just a mask you wear until one day, you realize it fits. Her voice carried a quiet vulnerability that I had never heard from her, and I felt something shift inside me. The mask of perfection I had placed on her cracked, and behind it was someone human, someone who understood doubt, fear, hope, and failure. We spent hours helping with the cleanup, working side by side, laughing at small things, like sand sticking to everything, and volunteers arguing over how to organize the collected trash. At one point, she accidentally splashed water on her own shoes and looked at me as though I had witnessed a carefully guarded secret. We laughed again, the kind that shakes your shoulders and makes you feel young. When the event ended and people started leaving, she didn't rush away. Instead, she stood with me a little longer, toes brushing the breaking waves. Then the wind blew a gust of sea air, and she wrapped her arms around herself. Something inside me wanted to offer my jacket, but I didn't. I wasn't brave enough. In the days that followed, things subtly changed at work. She didn't treat me with favoritism, no, never. But she acknowledged me more. When I spoke in meetings, she looked at me like my thoughts mattered. And slowly, my voice steadied. My words found clarity. I began to feel like I belonged, but office life is complicated. Rumors started. Whispers spread. People assumed things that were not true. Some made jokes. Others grew bitter. I tried to ignore it. She remained composed. But I could see the frustration behind her eyes sometimes, and I hated that I was part of the reason. One afternoon, after a long meeting, she asked me to stay back for a moment. Her voice was steady, but something felt heavy in the room. She told me that people were talking. That leadership was observing. That she had to keep professional distance for both our sakes. I nodded, even though my chest tightened like I had swallowed stones. I understood. Respect didn't mean holding close. Sometimes respect meant stepping back. We went back to being distant. Polite. Professional. The office felt colder. Weeks passed. Then months. My confidence continued to grow, yes. I took on more responsibility. I learned to lead small teams. But something in me missed the simplicity of that beach morning, the warmth of real connection. One day, I was called to her office for a final project presentation. It went well. And when I finished speaking, she smiled the same smile I saw that morning by the water. She told me she was proud of me. My throat tightened. Not because of admiration. Not because of longing. But because I realized something important. Sometimes in life, people come into our world not to stay forever, but to awaken something sleeping inside us. Confidence. Courage. Self-worth. She didn't rescue me. She showed me how to rescue myself. The project ended. My department shifted to a new branch. And life moved forward, but I'll never forget her. Or that beach. Or the way she said, "My eyes are up here," with a laugh that melted every fear I had ever carried. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Power of Kindness. Your support helps inspire others to believe in growth, humanity, and second chances.